With me, as always, we have my co-host, Peter Ray Allison.
Good evening, everyone.
And our special guest tonight, Suhaddrell.
Hi.
So, Sue, who are you? What do you do? What's your thing?
My name's Sue. I am the organiser of Lawless Comic Con. It's a Bristol-based comic convention full of creators and artists. It's primarily British comic themed, so we do a lot of 2000 AD and Judge Dredd, but we've also in the last few years expanded out into things like Commando, Battle Action, the Beano, and classic comics, and anything and everything we can get our hands on. So it's end of May, usually May bank holiday every year. So this year we're holding it 27th and 28th of May at Bristol Doubletree by Hilton in Bristol.
Oh, brilliant. So how long have you, apologies for my ignorance, so how long have you been going for?
So it's been going since about 2014. There's been a couple of gaps for bits and pieces, including COVID. So I think this is our 7th show technically. We've been going since 2014. It's always been very successful. The 2019 show was a tribute to Carlos Esguerra, which was awesome. We had a beautiful display there in tribute to him, and we had some amazing artists and guests there. And then we took a break, obviously, because of COVID for a couple of years, and we came back last year, 2022, with our first weekender. So we were always a one-day show, and it's been so successful. We expanded because everyone was staying anyway. We were like, let's roll it over for another day, shall we?
Amazing.
So last year was our first weekender, and we're doing it all again this year.
Amazing.
Okay, I mean, how did this come about? I mean, it was like 10 years ago, wasn't it, when it first started? So we're talking about 2013.
2014, I think it was up in Birmingham, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, it came about primarily because we were organising sort of varying bits and pieces for different it was when conventions had got very big and kind of there was lots of gatherings and get-togethers in terms of cosplay was becoming quite popular, and gaming days and bits and pieces were becoming very popular. And we were doing a few gaming days and meetups and bit of geek meets and things like that, which were very successful. And I happen to know, or we happen to know, a whole bunch of guys who dressed up as judges from Judge Dredd. And the 2012 Judge Dredd had just been really, really popular and come out. So they essentially were just like, we want a DreadCon. So I went, all right, I can do that.
What's the guy called? I know a Judge Dredd cosplayer from up north.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
There's one or two about.
Oh, God, I can't remember his name now. Okay, carry on. I'm going to have to find what he's called.
That's all right. Yeah, so our first show is in Birmingham because I happen to know a guy who ran a venue in Birmingham, and all the judges came along, and we got about 6 or 7 creators, including John Wagner, who was obviously the original creator, and David Roach and Pete Doherty and a few others. It was really successful. It was only a small show. There was only about 60 people there. We put some food on, we put some bowler on, we did some panels and signings, and it was a really lovely get-together day for a small convention for a first-timer. And it was that successful. We did it again the next year, but we couldn't do it in Birmingham because the place we held it at closed down. So sort of through varying contacts in the convention sort of show run industry, I knew we got an offer to run it down in Bristol at the Doubletree by Hilton. They've got several different sort of conference rooms that we can use, and it's been there ever since. They're a really, really good bunch down there. So we've been holding it there every year ever since, and it's just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
John Burtis, that's the fella.
Burtis, everybody knows Burtis.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed I forgot his name, but yeah, because he was one of the first cosplayers I think I met and it would have been about 2013-ish, maybe 2013 down in London. It was Mr. Burtis, and yeah,
he's been doing it a while now.
Yeah, was there be a Judge Lemmy and a Judge Court there as well, Matt?
Yeah, Court and Lemmy were there. Yeah, the old crowd and everything.
Yeah,
Cal was there. We had Stephen Sterlicini, so we had a whole bunch of actual costuming from the 2012 Dredd film there.
Nice. Yeah.
And we approached it. They'd done a fan film called Judge Minty, so we had the actor from Judge Minty there at the first show. And you could dress up as, you could wear some of the uniform and stuff like that. And we did a show of Judge Minty at the end of the day. God, it's going back a while. I'm trying to think what we actually did.
You did, yes. I mean, yeah, I was there for that first one as one of the panel hosts, and I think it was interviewed like John Wagner, and that was a very petrifying experience for me.
It was for me, I'll be honest. I'd never met the guy.
Well, I never met him before. This guy who I've been reading in the Judge Dredd comics since 80s.
Yeah.
So how you doing? I get interviewed on stage, going slightly brown trousers time, but he was a lovely guy, really, really good. He comes across as very kind of gruff, and
he comes to the show every year without fail. He says it's his favorite show.
Oh wow!
I'd like to take that as, he doesn't say that to everybody, so I'm taking that as a win. But yeah, he absolutely loves it and he promotes it for us, and I love him to pieces. He's just great to have around, and he's great to see him every year, and he's doing some really good work at the moment. He's done Rock of the Red since, he's just gotten to Battle Action, so seeing what new stuff that he's going on to and what new creators he's bringing into the fold as well is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, you've kind of expanded out from just being a Dread Con to being like, a British Comics Con. But I mean, and it's very different to other Comic Cons, which is more kind of manga or superhero. It's purely focused on, British comics.
Yeah, we still have a very strong 2000 AD Judge Dredd audience, and that's our kind of core audience that we want to help, and we want to, we're there for, essentially. But obviously, there's a lot of comic conventions out in this day and age. A lot of them are big merchandise cons, pop culture cons, which is fine. They're really good fun. I've not, absolutely nothing against them. They're really good fun. I love cosplaying at them, and I love meeting up friends with them. So they're really, really great. And again, a lot of them are big celebrity cons. They're there to go and get your photos with, your favorite celebrity at the show that you're watching, kind of thing. And they're brilliant, but this was I wanted to make it more about the artists and the writers and the people that have been reading, like you just said, reading the comics for the last 30 years since their childhood. It's great for them to meet their heroes on a real kind of close-knit face-to-face basis. Is awesome. But the fact that it's a really close-knit little community, and there's only about 300 people come to the show each year because it's quite a small venue, and it works for that. It really does, because you get that kind of face-to-face time, sitting and having a pint with someone who's an absolute legend.
It reminds me in some ways of Edgelit in Derby, like science fiction and fantasy book festival, where it's there to celebrate the authors and creators.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And
there's definitely a focus, I think, on celebrating the people that put the work in behind the scenes to the things that we're reading, the things that we're consuming and stuff like that. And much as we like all buying all the shiny toys and everything like that, having a sketch of something very specific, or even just shaking a hand and saying hi, how to meet you, is a really big deal for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, like, just being able to meet John Wagner, like, he's obviously some of my favorite comics, like, Judge Dredd comics are, modern classics, and for a reason. And actually just meet him in person and not be terrified at the end. So it really is a fantastic. I hesitate a little, but more a close-knit con.
Yeah,
but that's still welcoming to new people, outsiders.
Absolutely, no, it's very, very friendly, and everyone's welcome to it. It's very word of mouth, so it's quite hard to advertise for it. So it's because, again, it's not a giant big convention, so it's very, very word of mouth. But everyone who comes to the con comes again the following year, kind of thing. It's always very, if they can't, it's because not because they don't want to, it's just commitments and other things like that. But everyone who's a new person who comes to the con meets someone and comes again wants to come the next year, and it's great for making friends and just meeting like-minded people.
Yeah, because I mean, the only reason I did not make it to any of the other events after the first one is because it moved to Bristol, and it was just too far for me. Family and everything. It's just like, God damn it.
Sounds like an excuse to me, Pete. Sounds like an excuse. You're expecting me to drive 5 hours to, sci-fi weekender, and
there are definitely other conventions out there that are similar. So you've got obviously Thought Bubbles further up north, and that's one I can never make it to because it's just a little bit too far. I've never made it to Thought
Bubble either, to be honest. It's just one of the things. Things just keep clashing with it.
Yeah. What's the other one? Enniskillen's another one that's very similar to ours. Actually, it's kind of our twin over in Ireland.
Wow.
And again, it's very, very similar in the fact it's a small convention, small group of guests, and a small group of people who come along to the show. But it's a really close knit community. So it's kind of our Irish twin. I like.
I have never been to an Irish convention. I've never been to one.
One day, you might have one day.
Yeah, never been. Being Irish and never have been to an Irish convention. But there you go.
What's your excuse? What's your excuse, Matt?
So Enniskillen, I highly recommend Enniskillen. It's meant to be absolutely lovely.
Yeah. You started out purely on focusing on Judge Dredd and 2000. Why did you expand it out to kind of British comics? What was the thought?
Rebellion were getting a little, so Rebellion opened only IP obviously to Dread in 2000 AD. They were getting a little bit twitchy about us running a Dread con essentially. That's they're meant to be their deal. If they're going to do it, then they're going to do it. They haven't done it, but yeah, they were getting a little bit twitchy about it essentially, and about us using the Judge Dredd helmet on advertising and imagery and stuff like that. And yeah, they were just getting a bit twitchy about it. And the show was becoming so successful as well. So I don't want to give any reason for them to say, you shouldn't be doing this, cease and desist kind of thing. So I was like, well, screw it. We'll just expand it to, there isn't a British comics convention out there. Yeah. And again, like you said earlier, a lot of conventions are very, very superhero kind of, or pop culture related. So we do focus very much on that old school kind of, and it's definitely a target kind of audience in that respect, but also it does bring in a new audience to it. So there is like the Commandos and the Battle Actions, and there's obviously the Beano, and there's loads of new comics. There's, small press and small indie stuff that's become anthology comics, like 77 and Shift are also coming into WH Smith and the Forte, coming to the fore. And we want to promote that as well. That's something that we want to tap into and say, there is British comics out there that's not just 2000 AD. How can we promote those and show off those as well and be aware of their history?
Yeah, because I mean, like, The Adventure of Arkwright was one of the very first graphic novels in the UK by Brian Talbot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you ever get Brian Talbot, then screw it, just as I'm going to be there. I'd love to. He's a lovely guy. If you
he's definitely been on the list. I don't think I've been able to get hold of his answered messages, but he's definitely been on the list for a while. But yeah.
Yeah, but if you get a chance, he's a fantastic. The guy is a literal legend. I mean,
yeah. And that's the other thing. We are very limited on space. We literally have 30 guest spots. So there's I have a list of like 300 potential creators that I can send emails out to that have just gathered over the years that people are like, oh, you should invite so-and-so, and you should invite so-and-so. So it's great having all these potential ideas, but I literally have 30 slots to fill. And once they're gone, unless people drop out and stuff like that. So it's very hard to, you've got to get, obviously you want the old crowd coming in because they're the regulars that love the show and want to come every year to see each other, but also we want to get new faces in, kind of new artists that's up and coming artists, or the new artists in 2000 AD and stuff like that. So we want to get those on board, and then we want to get new legends in that haven't come to the show. So Brian Bolland last year was a major coup. To have him along was astounding. And having Dave Gibbons this year, he's a newcomer. He's not been to the show before, so it's great to have him as a kind of a top lister, but new to the show as well this year. But yeah, 30 slots is quite a narrow window.
Yeah, I mean, how do you narrow it down? I mean, you say you're balancing like the old guard, the kind of regulars, with this kind of new cycling of newcomers, of legends and upcoming. How do you balance all that out without?
With difficulty. There's no particular logic to it. Some of it's I know 2 or 3, 4 or 5 guests are a given. We know they're going to be there. Others are love to haves. Others are new guys, and it's whoever answers the email, whoever comes back to me, whoever says yes first. Okay, you're down. Let's get you in, kind of thing. So there's a level of prioritizing that has to go there. Okay, who do I really want now? Okay, you guys haven't replied. Who shall I go to next? And I'm winging it a little bit.
Have you ever had the instance where someone's not replied that you were hoping for? Then because they've never replied, so I'll just fill that their slot with someone else, and then they suddenly reply and say, "Yeah, I'll do it," and you're left with the, "God damn it."
No, not so far. We've done all right so far. If something crops up, we can usually blag something and wing it and fit them in somewhere. If Brian decides he wants to come back to the show, I'm not really going to turn him away, I'll be honest.
I mean, what's it like? You said it went from like 1 day to 2 days.
Yeah.
How did that kind of evolve, so to speak? I mean, and how easy was it? How was
LaBelle fully for this? I'd just like to say this live online now. It's LaBelle's fault.
Fair enough.
He'd mentioned it a while back that we should do a 2-dayer, and a couple of others had sort of mentioned it as well. But primarily, it was literally because everyone was stopping over anyway. It was such a successful show. It didn't, add too much to the budget to roll it over another day. It was just paying for the rooms for a second, for a night and for a second day at the hotel. So it was doable financially. So it was like, yeah, screw it, let's do it. Everyone likes it. See how it rolls. Kind of thing.
What's your capacity?
It's about 300, max 400. I think if we get to 400, it will be heaving. It will be proper crowded. 3 to 350 is a good number because you get that kind of feeling where you're mingling and there's lots of crowds and people, but you're not overrun and you're not queues out the door kind of thing. It has, in all fairness, been a little bit quieter this year. I know there's major issues with people finding accommodation this year because there's lots going on that weekend in Bristol for that bank holiday, so the cost of accommodation has gone through the roof. So it's definitely might be a quieter show this year, which isn't a bad thing, and we can still run the show and everything, but it just means more opportunity for everybody to get chatting to everybody, really.
Do you have like a cut-off, as in the numbers, the minimum numbers to be, so you basically don't bankrupt yourself, essentially?
Yeah, so we have to break even, essentially, to be able to run the show. But the good news, that's why it's a good show. We broke even on the first show. Every single year. Yeah, every single year. That's why every single year the funds went into running the next show. So that's what happens is, if we can't break even, then we can't run the show. But so far it's not happened. So we've been all right.
Because I know several cons which shall remain nameless, but that was we're basically not making the numbers and getting deeper and deeper into the red, where it just fell down, went boom, unfortunately. And the fact that from the outset you just kind of structured it.
I'm a little bit of a control freak, I'll be honest. I like a lot of spreadsheets and a lot of lists.
It's all about the spreadsheets.
Wrong with liking spreadsheets.
All about spreadsheets.
Yeah, I mean, when I said I was going to become a freelancer, my wife and I sat down with an Excel spreadsheet and did the numbers, and because you've got to, you have to.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, what was your kind of interactions like with Rebel? You said at the end they were kind of getting a bit twitchy, but with like the whole IP issue. But what was it like at first, and how did it kind of change over time?
Few and far between, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, they were very much, do whatever you want, run with it kind of thing. And then I'd get a cease and desist out of the blue because somebody said something wrong on the online somewhere, or posted up some kind of copyrighted photo or image that wasn't allowed to be used. And I'd get an email out of the blue saying, you shouldn't be doing this. And I'd go, oh, sorry. Okay, then I won't do that. Or I'll get them to take it down. So they were fine initially because we were using all the guys in Dread costumes for our advertising. So that was okay to do. We couldn't specifically use Dread created art from artists to promote. There's lots of kind of very fine-lined grey area rules of why I'm not allowed to do things and use imagery and for specific things. But the upshot is I'm not allowed to use Dread to promote my show whatsoever, essentially. That's their job to do.
Sorry.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, in the early days of Geek Pride, we got a cease and desist from Square Enix for using the Space Invader. So we had to change that very quickly.
Yeah, no, they weren't really interested in being involved with the show, full stop. We didn't run the show in 2016 because it was the 40th anniversary of 2000 AD. So they had a massive show in London in about March that year, I think. Yeah. And it was really, really successful by all accounts. They had all the big names there. They had, it was a really, really good show. But as from that, they basically said to me, do you mind not running the show? Because we don't, you're going to nick all our guests, essentially. So I was like, fine, not a problem at all not to run it. So we didn't run it in 16 and we went back again in 17. And I think in about 18, I was just like, actually, let's not call it Lawgiver, because it was Lawgiver initially. Let's just change the name of it. And I chose Lawless purely because it sort of sounds a bit like Lawgiver, and it has that kind of rebellious kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then everyone was like, there's a comic called Lawless, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that because I'm not the be all and end all of comics, but there's also a solicitor's called Lawless, and there's half a dozen other companies.
There is
Lawless as well, Lawless. So never mind, I'm sure we'll cope.
Well, we get it every year, right? So Geek Pride, we get this nearly every year. So in Manchester, in Pride Week in Manchester, there's a group up here called Geek Pride who've been going for a long time, but not as long as us. Like, we've been going since 2012. I think they were slightly after us, but they are sort of obviously geeks who are gay in Geek Pride. So we always get messages from people going, oh, we saw you guys in Pride weekend marching. I was like, as much as we're totally for that, that's not us. It wasn't us.
Yeah, it's like we're prideful about geeks and in all their colours, shapes, and forms. But
we weren't parading around Manchester.
Different kind of pride.
Yeah, and I mean it's at one point one point we got referred to as Greek pride.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
you can still
Greek.
be proud of being
Yeah, it's
Greek.
easy to yeah. What are you? You're proud to be Greek? Oh yeah,
Very
yeah,
good food.
yeah. It's all about the
So yeah,
meze.
yeah. So that was a weird one, but yeah, I know what you mean about the whole naming conventions because it's so easy to set up like an event now. No, well, or not so much an event, but kind of an organization, a name on the internet, and like essentially bookmark it. That pretty much every name's going to be used.
You have to. There's definitely an element of branding in there, which is why I sort of went down the British comics route, because there's nothing in the UK kind of focusing on that specific area.
Yeah, it's your niche.
And because it is a small convention, it gives me the opportunity to invite, a wide range of people, but over a small kind of contingent area every year. So there's plenty of scope for anything that we want to do with it. And that's how we got into doing the kind of exhibits and stuff, because obviously we had the Carlos exhibit, which was a big display of all his artwork in 2019. And this year we're doing last year we did, Graham Bleethman brought in his, he does cutouts from Thunderbirds and stuff like that. He's very famous for doing all the big arts from Thunderbirds and all the old British TV programs. And that was really, really popular last year. So now we dedicate a room now to doing some kind of exhibit. That's what I like to do. So this year we got the Steve Dillon exhibit, which is going to be awesome. So doing all that's been exhibiting in London for the last year or so. I think it's done a couple of conventions, but yeah, I got chatting to Tanya, who's one of the members of the family there. I was like, do you want to come to Lawless? And she's like, yes, you've been on my list to contact and speak to. So yeah, it's going to be really good. I'm hoping that we'll see some of the family there and have a few faces show up, which would be lovely.
How would you kind of typify the difference between British comics and kind of almost, I hesitate to say the word, but mainstream US comics?
I have no idea.
Okay, fair enough.
It's kind of what I do. There is definitely an element of winging it a little bit. It's kind of whatever kind of fits our little show. And I do sort of say our little show. So if you look at Sandman and Neil Gaiman, technically Neil Gaiman's British and it's a British comic, but A, I'm never going to get Neil Gaiman to my show. B, if he did come, the queues would be like half a mile down the road. I can't fit that many people at my show. It doesn't make sense to. So there's definitely an element of being a bit choosy. And also I think tapping into that kind of that historic genre of growing up in the 70s and 80s and those kind of comics that our audience grew up with, and tapping into that and bringing that to the fore a little bit more, which is what people seem to really enjoy.
Just one thing I've never really grasped, and I it's no disrespect to anybody who does this and stuff, but people who will queue for hours and hours and hours to get a photograph for somebody for like a couple of, they'll pay exorbitant amounts of money for a very minor sort of kind of interaction with a celebrity, and it's like I couldn't do, especially like you got the bigger conventions down in London and stuff, and even the ones sort of in America, and you're spending so long in these queues to sort of and I just. It's just me queuing in general. I just hate. I really hate.
I've been there and I've done it and I'm good now. Thanks.
Yeah. It's just like
When it was a novelty, I think back. When you're looking at 2008, 2009, it was a real novelty. I remember meeting like the Aliens cast and stuff like that, and the Serenity cast and things, and that was a massive novelty just to be able to be next to that person, and. Yeah, I'm good. I've done that now. Thanks very much. I don't need to go back and do it again.
But it's just the amount of money some people would pay towards these things and stuff. It's like it's insane. That's why I kind of
it is a silly amount.
In certain ways, I kind of prefer the smaller ones and stuff because it's a bit more
intimate. Like isn't Harrison Ford going to Star Wars Celebration next weekend? And that's going to be mental.
Oh yeah,
I heard rumors that he was going to be there.
Yeah, and it's just going to be And I've already seen people like complaining about how much it is, but that's what it is. They because people will do it. They can they'll go fine. So many people want to do this. Let's hike the prices up and stuff, and it's just it does nothing for me. I've got a few signatures from people. Like there wasn't a massive queue, or people I don't think I've ever queued, or I've sort of been doing interviews and they've signed something for me afterwards or whatever and stuff. As on professional size.
We do get queues at Lawless. People queuing out the door for Brian Bolland last year, but I think the difference is the queues go down. You they move and it's you're only there max. I think they were there maximum an hour, 2 hours kind of thing. And the guy's a machine. I'd love him to pieces because he was just signing like I don't know how he was doing it. But again, there's that element. I'm looking after the guests as I am the fans as well. So I need to give the guy a break and go and have a cup of tea and some lunch, for God's sakes, and step away from the desk. And the crowds are quite happy to hang about and wait, or go and find something else to sign, or watch a panel or something instead. So that's quite nice, because there's had that element of a small venue. So it's not a massive, huge expo where you're never gonna find the place and you're gonna lose your space in the crowd, kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I mean, I think, to be honest, I'd say I'd probably had as much fun at the Mandalorian Forge than I would have had at the Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Because the Mandalorian Forge was basically like a walk-in live-action Star Wars Mandalorian experience, where you walked in, had a glass of blue milk, wielded that lightsaber, grabbed some Beskar, and listened to Blues Harvest, play the Mandalorian theme pretty much non-stop. And I was in my element before they had to kick me out. And that was like a walk-in event. Now, but something like Star Wars Celebration, which is just going to be huge, massive on every dimension.
Yeah.
And I'd still like to go, but I'm pretty confident I'd probably, on balance, have enjoyed.
It's a different atmosphere, I think. We went a few years back when, I think it was just after Rogue One came out, because they held all the Rogue One costuming and stuff like that. So it's a completely different atmosphere. You're there still to see all your mates and all the costumes and everything. It's just, it definitely has a different feel to it. But again, it feels like if you're there, if you get to see the panels, it's awesome. If you get to see what they're talking about and stuff like that, if you can get tickets to it. Exactly. And there's that if as well. But also it still also has that giant merchandising thing. So you're just walking around a gigantic shopping mall spending that.
I know that is the one thing that really sort of, I've been to a lot of conventions, and even I went to San Diego Comic Con, and it is literally, like you said, I had more fun outside of the event. Not to say inside wasn't great and stuff, but it's just like a massive shopping mall inside.
BarCon is definitely a thing at Law.
Yeah.
I get most of the stories I get of the night before when I get up there, because I don't get to, because I'm running it, I tend to have an early night. I'm done for by about Saturday night. So the stories I get to hear on the Sunday morning are fabulous.
I've heard about the Dread Screening Drinking Club.
Oh yes, they're a good bunch.
Yes, the stories I have heard about that is unsuitable for broadcasting.
Just said. Well, you want to hear the stories about the barge on the Friday night before Lawless? I think they all got booted from that at one point for varying underwear shenanigans.
Sounds about right.
They're all at the Novotel this year, so there's a whole bunch of them. There's about 50 of them that are hardcore, have been going since day one, and they're absolutely amazing lot. And they've all taken over the Novotel this year. God help the Novotel, because they have no idea what they're in for.
See, that's what it's all about. That's what, for me,
there's some definite. Literally, the chat is the dirty weekend chat. It's like, oh my god, I don't need to know.
That's it.
Just run the show.
For conventions, for me, the only sort of convention I think I enjoy for convention's sake is UK Games Expo, because I'm into gaming, because it's not just
I haven't been to that in a while.
Yeah, I love it. Like, it's just like it's not only because there's lots of cool stuff, and I like pretty things, but it's just sort of like it's just seeing all the new games coming through, and like people like going down sitting and playing them. So it seems a bit more interactive than your average sort of like, oh, here's more pop figures.
I went to that when it was just a tiny little show in the Hilton, like just on the outskirts of Birmingham. I remember that was like it was like the third one they'd run. It's huge now. I can't get over how massive it is.
Yeah.
It's 3 halls of the NEC.
Insane.
Yeah.
It's insane, isn't it?
It's massive, and I love it. That's like one of my favorite conventions. And
amazing.
But the thing is, when I go to the other ones, so I used to go. I haven't been to many conventions in a while. But like going to San Diego or going to MCM in London and stuff, or even Birmingham, it was more to do with the sort of the drinking and having fun with your friends and people watching and stuff like that. And the convention was sort of like the cosplay. It was a secondary. Everything else was just sort of a secondary, because once you've kind of been into one of these places, you kind of have seen them all, because they're very they're very similar. Like there's pop figures everywhere, and there's just sort of like, it's the same old and stuff. And it's the interaction with people and sort of the stories and all that stuff. For me, that sort of kind of gets me. Which that's the bigger ones. So the smaller ones I have been to, I've actually enjoyed more as a convention because they're a lot more intimate. And I've enjoyed them a lot more. Yeah.
I mean, that reminds me about, I think this is where we met at Sci-Fi Weekend about 10 years ago.
All roads lead to Sci-Fi Weekend.
Exactly. I think that's where we met. Like, through Kim and...
No, almost everyone leads to everyone winning tickets to the Sci-Fi Weekend.
That's fair, yeah.
Everyone won tickets to the weekend and no one ever purchased them.
That is exactly true. Because literally, a friend of mine won 6 tickets to Sci-Fi Weekend and asked, hey, do you want to come along to this? And we'll split a caravan between us all. I went, yeah, okay. And we did, and we won, and I've been going there ever since. And yeah, it's an absolute laugh. And again, like as Matt was saying, it's it's BarCon basically. There's talks and there's panels, but then there's a lot of drinking and partying and having fun and some great bands. So like and really you kind of taking that ethos to heart when creating Lawless by keeping like the focus on the atmosphere and the people. Absolutely. And
it's all about the community. And it's all about getting everyone together again and getting new people into that community and saying it's, come and hang out and come and have a laugh.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about like word of mouth. I mean, do you ever do any kind of paid advertising or like social media stuff?
So I work full time 9 to 5 and I do quite a lot of other things in my spare time. So literally the 6 months organising Lawless, I'm fitting it in everything else I do. So Twitter and Facebook is about as much social media as my brain can cope with. And I'm old school, so I've not really extended as far as Instagram and TikTok or anything like that at all because I just can't cope. So yeah, Twitter and Facebook are the primary ones. We have a Facebook group that's really, really popular. And it's a good chat. And then Twitter is really good for just spreading the word and getting retweets and just getting other people involved and also staying in touch with artists as well. Both of those sort of areas are good for staying in most of them are on via one or the other via Messenger to get hold of, which is quite good. In terms of paid advertising, this year is the first time I've paid for advertising. I paid for advertising in Shift magazine and in the 77 for full page adverts this year.
Oh yeah, 77 magazine is that sort of unofficial Judge Dredd 2018 magazine, but it's patently not Judge Dredd. If that makes any sense.
Kind of. It's an anthology comic that's kind of a homage to the comics that they grew up with. Yeah. So it's all original stories. It's all original continuations of stories. So each one that comes out is a continuing chapter of the previous sort of run. There's obviously continuing characters and stuff that roll over, but it's their homage to the comics that they grew up with essentially. So they produce they've got all their own creators, all their own writers producing work, and they've got a few spin-offs like This Comic is Haunted is the horror version of that, and Blazer I think is another sort of spin-off of it as well. So in terms of a publication arm, they've spread quite wide, which is quite good. So yeah, we got an advert in with them, and Shift is another one, and again it's an anthology comic that's got quite big. I don't know as much about them. I know more about the 77 because they're our sponsors, so I know the guys that kind of run that. But Shift I know have definitely been very popular in WH Smith and stuff like that. They've got quite a wide UK publishing arm, going to print. It's sort of had comics I think overall have had quite a lull and now coming back to the fore again in terms of print comics. I think for a short while it went very much comicsology and online and that kind of thing. And I think definitely coming to print is becoming a bit more popular again in terms of anthology and that kind of off the shelf kind of comic you want to buy. But that's kind of advertising this year.
It seems like there's sort of ebb and flow of comics. Like become popular thing good, but there's always a comic scene, no matter how big or small. And I think like we've seen it more now because people want to switch off a bit more from the tablets and phones and want to literally just read something in the hands.
I think the production of it has become, in terms of the internet doing some good for once, the network capability of people getting in touch with other creators and stuff like that. And I know someone who can do this. Oh, actually, I know someone who can publish this. Well, I've got someone who knows someone who can print, and that bringing that team together of that, a creative team together, I think via the internet in the last sort of 5 or 6 years has become a lot easier, which is again sort of helped the industry a little bit.
So also something about having the tangible thing in your hand. Like we get a lot of previews for like comic books, and so actually 2000 AD sort of they send us, well, they can send us stuff, but trying to get people to review these things when they're not physical copies is near impossible, because people want this physical copy. So you go, oh, do you want a comic book review? Yeah, I do. Well, here's the PDF. Oh, I don't want a PDF. I want the physical thing. And then it's so hard to get people. It's like, we can give you all these comic books that you can sort of want the thing, not the. Do you want the digital version?
No, you definitely want tangible thing. I'll freely admit, if you give me a PDF of comic, I'm unlikely to read it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's just like,
really
I'm the same with books. Like, I have to have the book, even though I listen to most of my books now on Audible. I have to have the physical copy of that book. I'm
different with books purely because I had to be. I can't fit any more books anywhere in my house. So Kindle is my life, because it sits in my handbag for reading on the station and when I'm stuck at the doctor's, and all my books are on my Kindle, and it's my go-to library whenever, at all times. So I'm definitely a Kindle reader.
How would you get the book signed when it's on your Kindle?
That's the thing. So I have to be very fussy. So if there's certain artists or writers that I will purchase, definitely, and comic books I will definitely purchase. Like Andy Diggle's coming to the show this year, and I'm genuinely a fan.
Oh, nice.
So I've got stuff that I definitely want to get signed. And same with Tank Girl and Brian Bolland last year. I collect there's specific things I will collect, I will physically buy copies of so I can get signed. But 90% of it's going to be on Kindle.
Yeah, because I remember I had some Tank Girl books.
Oh yeah,
comic books that I kind of forwarded onto you for one of the competitions you're running at Lawless or Lawgiver. Many.
Okay, then. We've had a few times.
Did you, Pete?
So I apologize for not remembering.
No, I had some review copies, like I did for the Geek Pride, and thought, I'm not going to read them again. And you did some raffle prizes. There you go.
Fabulous.
I was going to say, but we've been going for about 11 years now, haven't we? It feels like we've only been going for a couple, but we've been going for about 11 years.
It goes way too quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so when do you start planning Lawless? What's like? Do you give yourself a break, or is it like end of?
I do have a break. Yeah, no, I do have a break. I tend to shut down sort of August. After the show, there's usually a sort of run-off time after the show. So sort of June kind of time is kind of run-off follow-up time when getting messages from people, and then July, August, September, I tend to switch off a little bit and tune out. And then October we start running up again. So October I'll start asking around for guest ideas and who do people want to see at the show next year. I'll put a few early emails out to see who's interested, and then kind of December time I finalize the guest list, and I'll have a specific list of definitely early, even if it's just a halfway early definite yeses. And then I'll do some early promotion of, tickets go on sale on these are the early guest list, this is the date of the show kind of thing, and some early sort of pre-Christmas promotion. And then tickets go on sale end of January usually, and away we go again. So
that's incredibly organised.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of stress.
I'm annoyingly organised.
I would love. Part of me is like, my ADHD brain would kind of go, I'd love to do something like that, but I know it would just stress me out so bad.
I'm annoyingly habitually organised. Like I like to know what I'm doing and when. Even on anything, like my evenings are that organised, because I like to. On Mondays I will do this and.
Oh no!
Oh,
she clicked the button. She gone.
Oh no! She'll do this and she will disappear.
She will do this. Badunk. I'm organised. Boom. Gone.
Okay. Well, as you might have gathered, listeners, we've had a slight technical issue where Suhaddrell has decided to be so organised she's disconnected. Really sorry. We'll just keep chatting away between ourselves. Anyway, but Lawless. Like I was there back in 2014 for the Lawgiver when it's done. And hello, Stu's back.
Hello, sorry.
I
hit my mouse by accident. I was waving my arm and I hit my mouse and closed my browser.
I thought that might be the case.
I'm being far too.
I'm so organised. Click.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really, really organised. Bye, everyone.
That was, you could not have planned that if you tried.
Amazing. Amazing.
I suck, man. Yeah, I'm really organized. I'm also really absent-minded, which is the reason I'm really organized, because I can't even remember, why I messaged you yesterday. So there's definitely a difference between my organization and my general absent-mindedness. So that's why I have Andy, who looks after everything for me.
Technical support.
Yes.
Andy's definitely tech support and Sue support. Here, stand here, turn that way, go. Okay then.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that you work 9 to 5 and like you got your own kind of life outside of that.
Mhm.
How do you kind of manage organizing? Okay. Fair enough. I mean, do you have to kind of take time off from work to kind of just busy focus on sorting Lawless?
I don't know how. I don't know really, because I don't know. I suppose I get bored easily, so I like switching from one thing to the next. So I play drums, so I practice my drums in the evening.
Awesome.
So normally I'll come home and I'll make dinner and I'll practice my drums, and that's my kind of zen time. And then I'm like, okay, because I've got some Lawless stuff I need to do tonight. Let's get cracking on that and get that out of the way. Okay, that's done for another week or so. I can probably ignore that for another week. And then tomorrow evening, cool, I've done that last night. Okay, I can revise for the exam I've got in May that I'm working on, because I'm doing a diploma in my insurance qualification. So I've got to work on that tonight instead. Or I've got to finish a short story for submission, because there's a submission call that I want to apply for. So I'll do that instead tonight, because last night I managed to do this and get that out of the way. So.
You work in insurance, do you? Because I used to work.
I do, yeah.
I used to work for Aviva back in the day and stuff for 8 years. I think I was there for.
What'd you do?
I was fraud manager in Manchester for like 6. I think I was there. I was a regular claims handler for a couple of years, and I was fraud manager for like 6 years before redundancy.
So you know exactly where to hide the money then, basically.
Yeah, so I went from that.
I know where to come to you.
Yeah, so I went from that, and then I went into the legal side of insurance, and now I'm the tech side of the legal side of insurance. So I sort of, so insurance hasn't left me for the last, when did I 2000.
The amount of random people that I meet that are either drummers or insurance related in this industry is really weird. It's quite surreal, the amount of people who just work in insurance or they're drummers. It's quite strange.
Yeah, I just remember I was working in like a company called Henleys. They do sort of kind of clothes, and in Manchester I was working basically in a box factory, and my mate was like, do you want to work insurance? I was like, yes I do. Yes I do.
I did the usual thing of just kind of falling into it after university, and then I got a qualification, and then they gave me a pay rise, so I got another qualification, and I went to another job with another pay rise, and I kept doing that basically. So yeah, I sell commercial insurance now.
Have you ever been tempted kind of like borrow resources for when you've been planning Lawless? As in borrow like some like equipment, or like when I was working for full time, just before I became a full freelance journalist full time, I would regularly borrow the company's conference management equipment to interview people during lunch hour.
Oh.
They've had Huey Morgan, from the Fun Criminals. They've had Mike Monroe from Hanoi Rocks.
Amazing.
And one time, Dr. Hayes from the Circus of Horrors.
Oh wow, cool.
And just randomly, and I've had to make sure I rang them.
Yeah.
Not the other way round, because parents thought that suddenly they'd have Huey Morgan asking for Peter Allison on the phone. That would be a bit tricky to explain.
No, I've not. Thankfully, I've managed to get away with not. I think the most I've done is borrowed flip charts. That's about it. But no, we've got a tech team that sorts out all our tech on the day for us, they're a great bunch of guys, and they bend over backwards. So I literally can. It's awesome. I can just leave them to it, and they know exactly what to do, and they get it sorted, which is fabulous. I don't. It's very separated. The job and the Lawless life definitely are quite separated. The guys at work tend to know that I get to about May time and start looking a bit twitchy. It's about the most. I'm very tired. There's a lot going on in my head right now. Please don't give me complicated queries to deal with. But other than that, no. It's it doesn't really cross over too much.
Oh, nice. I mean, do you ever been tempted? I grew up reading Eagle and Tiger comics.
Oh yeah.
I mean, do you get any writers from those publications at all?
I'll be honest, I'm not the encyclopedia of writers for different
Okay.
comics. So if I don't know the name, then probably not. I literally have just gone off people's recommendations and who they want to see. I don't know much about Eagle. It's probably something that I should know more about and I can add to the list. So if you have people, who've worked, I mean, we might already have people on the list that have worked on Eagle, and I just don't know about it, in all fairness.
Yeah, imagine, obviously this was like something somebody approached you about, in fact, rather than just like, they wanted a Dreadcon and said, okay, we'll do a Dreadcon. I mean, did you kind of start doing research yourself and like, okay, well, better start reading Dread comics in UK comics?
I did try. I have a vague idea, I do read Dread, and I do read comics in general, yes. But yeah, it's not something I have. I don't know. I've definitely picked up my reading in the last couple of years or so. I'm just plowing through all the Sin Cities at the moment, which are amazing. And as I said, I'm a big fan of the Losers. I'm a big fan of Tank Girl. What else have I just been reading? The Boys. I'm loving The Boys at the moment, and both the series and the comic books, and Invincible. Anything that's
so good.
anything that's basically really violent and really funny, I tend to like. I've discovered that I don't, much as I love Dread, it's not something I seem to tick into very quickly, so I tend to forget what the plots are, or they don't stay in my head. Whereas generally, I think I'm quite fussy in terms of my specific requirements or what I like. I've been reading Black Sad as well, so I do like a good PI kind of 1950s kind of PI.
Oh, have you read Granville?
No, I have heard of that though. Yeah,
Granville. Yeah, by Brian Tarver. Yeah, it's been it's been a 5-issue graphic novel series, and it's no separate issue. It's purely a graphic novel.
Cool.
There's 5 of them.
I can't. Yeah, that's the other thing, is I collect graphic novels rather than comics because I haven't got the space for comics. So I have to be fussy and be like, okay, I want this.
And this is basically Rupert the Bear meets Quentin Tarantino by way of.
Wow.
What?
It's basically.
I need this in my life.
Sherlock Holmes meets Rupert the Bear meets Quentin Tarantino.
Cool. It sounds like up my street.
Basically, got animal, anthropomorphic animals, like the people with animal heads, essentially.
Yeah.
With and it's all about this detective called Detective LeBrock of Scotland Yard, who is basically a solid muscle badger.
Yeah.
And he basically goes to the town that was formerly known as Paris, is now known as Granville, where he solves crime there, and it's being what's kind of a sort of Sherlock Holmes archetype, but with heavy weaponry.
Cool. Yeah.
Bloody heavy weaponry. It's really good. Yeah, and it's like beautifully done. Really beautifully done. So,
I'll have a look at that.
Yeah. So.
I definitely sort of lean towards that kind of genre and kind of weird stuff as well. That's why I liked Happy, because it was just kind of weird and screwed up, which I kind of like. And that tends to lean towards when I read fiction, I tend to read a lot of kind of PI or crime fiction or weird horror kind of stuff I really like.
Yeah, because you've also a writer as well, an author. Just as if you've not got enough.
God, where's the time go, man?
Yeah, I know, right? I haven't. Yeah, because I've been doing this coursework, I haven't done any writing in a while. But yeah, no, I've got a few. I've got one due out this year actually. I had a short story accepted in January.
Oh, nice.
What's it's a Wild West horror that's due. There's a Kickstarter for it due up in about June, July, I think. So I'll be posting up on that. And then, one of my stories is in that anthology. It's Gunfight at the OK Corral. It was after Wild West short stories, horror stories. So
awesome.
Can you tell us anything about it?
Other than that, it's a Wild West short horror story, essentially.
So Wild West horror.
It's as the result of me playing an awful lot of Red Dead Redemption. So a gang of bandits get to go and decide that they're going to go and guard a gold mine, whilst the gold miner needs some help guarding it in case of bandits come along to steal it. So the bandits go, oh, we can do that job for you. So they're on guard at this gold mine, and things not going well inside the gold mine, and weird shit happens, and it all kicks off.
That sounds awesome.
So yeah, I'm quite pleased. That was a very last minute Christmas one that I'd been working on, and then suddenly I found the submission call for it. And I was like, oh, I have something for this. Get this sent off. There you go. And you got accepted. So yeah.
Nice. And I mean, like, yeah, like combining Wild West and horror works surprisingly well. I found. If you look at. Like if you look at something like that werewolf, the apocalypse, Wild West sort of werewolf game.
Yeah.
It's a genre that really shouldn't work well together, but they do incredibly well.
I think it can quite easily turn cheesy though, and that's where you have to keep the grittiness of it. You have to keep that bone tomahawkness of it, of just that real. You get a wound, then you're going to die of it quite badly unless you get a very skilled surgeon helping you or something like that. There's definitely an element of you're out in the sticks, there's no one else to help you, there's just you and your gang, or you and a campfire, and what the hell is going on in the dark kind of I like about it. So you do have to keep the grittiness, I think, with Wild Western horror.
Yeah, because I mean, what was it called? That robot Wild West story, Westworld, did that remarkably well. It kind of combined like a sci-fi horror with Wild West tropes, and it's really good. Well, the first season was really good.
Yeah, the first season was really good. Second one sort of kind of was like, okay, I like this. I didn't watch the third one. After the second one, I was like, it's just gonna. They're kind of.
I think I got a bit lost in the third one. I was a bit like, what are we doing again?
Yeah, I think the first one was amazing. I kind of wish they just stopped there. Second one was good, but it kind of got a bit sort of out there, and then I was like,
there's definitely a call for standalone story series.
Yeah,
beginning, middle, and end in a series. End of story. Go find another genre kind of thing.
I mean that's why I liked Orphan Black and Ultraviolet.
You know what? I've not seen all of that. I remember started watching it a long time ago, and I haven't gone back to it. But yeah, I heard it's very, very good.
Yeah, really, really good, and that actually has an ending. Same with Person.
It's like Picard is really having 3 seasons and stuff. They're not going to milk that too much. They're just going to. This is the last season. What else is? There's another one that's literally just its third. Oh yeah, Ted Lasso, which is on, which I it's really.
That's not on any of my streaming services, so I'm not watching that. But I've heard everyone's absolutely loving it because it's just wholesome.
It is. It really is. And I was just thinking it last night. Like, I have zero interest in football, but it's just like proper, just like super nice and wholesome, and he's such a swell guy, and it's all like very.
It makes a change from the world is ending. We have to save it before the universe dies.
Yeah, it has a bit of an edge to it. He's got sort of there's some things with him and his ex-wife, and sort of he's got sort of like sort of underlying some sort of I would say mental issues, because but he's got sort of anxiety and he has panic attacks and things like that. But it's just like all like the lessons you learn from him being just a nice guy. Like, he refuses to be a dickhead to like this other coach, and he's just sort of in general just really nice. And it's just like, oh, I like this. It's just really feel good, and I like that. I like a bit of feel good. So I was watching it last night and just going, oh, it's only for another season. It's only on for another season. But I think it gets to a point where you get it. If it goes on for too long, it just sort of takes away from it, and it's good just to know when it's going to end.
I'm ploughing through Boston Legal quite happily at the moment, and highly recommend, because that is just the bromance between William Shatner and name escapes me, the other guy. Alan Shaw is the character's name, and I've forgotten the actor's name. But the bromance between them is absolutely stunning, and the whole show is just. Yeah, it's a good law show in general. Like, I like watching all the law stuff because I'm a nerd like that. But it's
Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul.
Sorry.
Better Call Saul. Have you watched it?
Not seen that. No, I've not seen that. Because I wasn't really a Breaking Bad fan. I watched the first season of Breaking Bad, and it was a bit too depressing for me, so I kind of quit early on that one.
Better Call Saul's good. Like, I watched these both late. Breaking Bad I didn't watch until it had finished, and then I sort of kind of went and binged it all and went, okay, that was better than I thought it was going to be, and quite enjoyed it. Better Call Saul, obviously, is like obviously about Saul Goodman slash Jimmy. What's a second? Jimmy McGill's his real name in the series, but it's really good, and it's 6 seasons, and it goes really quickly, but it's just sort of like his sort of it's not wholesome. It's
His
like
journey.
it's definitely not wholesome, but it's like it's basically it's got this sort of weird sort of angle to it because
you're rooting for the character.
Yeah, but he's not a good guy. I think he means well, but he can't help himself. And I think there's lots of sort of kind of threads throughout that about, he's sort of, you can tell he means well, but he's a bit of a shitbag and he can't help himself. So he loves his brother and he tries his best, but his brother doesn't have a lot of respect for him because he is a bit of a shitbag and he's trying his best to get him out of this.
Yeah.
But all he wants to do is be this sort of, gotcha solicitor who wants to, just make a bit of money and sort of, it's odd, but it's like you root for him, but then he starts to progress to the point where he ceases to be that likable character and becomes a bit more of a, you're just like, yeah, you're not sure if you like him and stuff, and it's really good just the way it gets it up, and it sort of it does this thing where there's black and white scenes, which is stuff that happened after after Breaking Bad, and then there's the colored ones which happened before, and it's sort of like it has a sort of whole sort of, it starts off where it's like it has these small things where it's the black and white stuff about what happens after Breaking Bad, but then it starts getting more and more as time goes on, as the timelines start to merge, and it's really good. Really good. Really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, what you got planned for the next Lawless? What can you tell us?
What, this year's one?
Yeah.
What can we got? Dave Gibbons is our big guest of honor this year, so very pleased to have him along.
Yeah.
Nick McMahon's coming as well, so the pair of them should be able to give us some good stories and bits and pieces. I've just finished putting together the initial panel listings for the 2 days, so that should be announced soon of what we're going to do. I'm going to keep it secret for now because there's some cool stuff. There's some cool stuff. There's some cool stuff coming up. I'm waiting for it to go to design, and then once it gets designed, it'll go to print. We're getting a full printed program again this year. So the other cool thing about last year's show is we had our Lawless has been officially created as a comic book character.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So yeah, because of all the things, obviously we're not allowed to use Dredd as a character or anything like that, or any of the imagery and anything. I was like, screw it, we'll have our own then. So Lawless is officially a comic book character now and has his own story. So he's going to be in a comic again this year for the program. It'll be a short comic.
And
program.
You are in it as well, as I understand.
I am. I'm kind of the sidekick. So yeah, just literally looking at me with my giant boots and my skinny jeans and my hat, and wandering.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna have to show
a little
this.
Bit lost behind him.
I'm gonna have to show this on screen because there's obviously a picture of you with like your arms spread wide with your Lawless t-shirt on.
Yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah. That was when I first saw that. Oh, that was amazing. Some of the art that's come out of this, it's been amazing. Yeah. And just seeing what people have put together. So again, kudos to the 77 because they're the guys that came up with Steve Bull and his crew have just been absolutely stunning. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the program is going to be this year because I don't know what the plot of the comic's going to be this year or anything. So that's going to be really exciting. We've got the Steve Dillon exhibition, so that's going to be a big draw as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's going to bring and seeing what the family's going to be showing and stuff like that. So that's going to be awesome. I'm trying to think what we're doing this year. We got the tombola. Go on.
Yeah, because Steve Dillon works with Garth Ennis a lot, doesn't he?
Say again.
Does Steve Dillon works with Garth Ennis a lot, doesn't he? Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. We couldn't get Garth to the show this year purely because I think he was in the area but had too much else going on and just couldn't fit us in basically, as well as visiting his family and hanging out with them and everything. So yeah, he was on the list to be asked, and we did have a bit of a gym wag, but it was just too much for him to fit in, sadly, so he couldn't make it this year. But it would have been good.
Next year.
Someday. He also worked with Jamie Hewlett, and I know, and I was just like, come on, Jamie, just randomly show up to my show just to see the exhibition. That would be amazing. So I'm a little bit of a fan. So we got the big tombola, which we always do every year, and we're raising money this year for the Samaritans, so they're our chosen charity. So we're going to be doing that's actually one of the things on the program this year is we're going to be doing our draw off. So we'll get three or four artists in front of an audience. The audience will shout out some subject matters that the artists are going to be drawing on flip charts, and they'll vote on the winners, and then all the drawings will be raffled off at the end of the panel at the end of the hour. And we raise a ton of money for the Samaritans on that side of things as well. And you get some very unusual drawings and sketches from our artists, which is always good fun. A couple of years ago, we had Jock doing some fantastic stuff.
At what point in the convention does this take place, and how much alcohol has been drunk?
It's not too bad. This usually goes on at about 4 or 5 o'clock, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
Usually a couple of pints have been consumed by that point because everyone's had lunch at that point. But yeah, no, it doesn't. The drinking doesn't generally start until it all closes down and everyone heads to the bar. We lock everything up and it's like to the bar. And then we get to see everyone's hangovers on the Sunday, which is going to be fun. What else we got? The big tombola is raising money for the Samaritans. We've done our Noble Bolt Award, so that's been announced as well this year. So Bolt 01, Dave Evans was a guy who passed away a couple of years ago, and Colin Noble as well, another chap who passed away, both very big in the comic community in their own rights. And both Dave had been to the show a couple of times. We had met a few times. Colin was one of these chaps who'd always wanted to come to the show and just could never make it for whatever reason. He didn't have the funds or just the health capacity to do it. And off the back of that, I wanted to do something to sort of honor their memories. So we created the Noble Bolt 1 Award, which is essentially Lawless will pay for one person to come to the show. Will sort their accommodation and their transport and their ticket to come to the show. So if you've got someone that he's always wanted to come to the show who's never been able to make it before, then we'll pay for their travel accommodation and ticket for the show to make it to the show. So Tim Boxall was our choice this year, who's been recommended by 4 or 5 people. A few people voted, nominated him. So everyone sort of drops me an email with a nomination of someone they want to make it, and I go through the emails and decide from there. And Tim had a few nominations, so we decided to get him along this year. So be good to meet him. He's very big within the community, does a lot of charity work down south, and he's got multiple sclerosis, so he does a lot of charitable stuff on that side of things. So yeah, it's going to be good to meet him. I'm really pleased that we're getting him along this year.
And does having it over 2 days change the dynamics of how you do the panels and everything?
No, it was literally duplicating everything. That's why I was really pleased with it. So it was very scary. The first time we did it last year, it was a little bit stressful because we've not done it before. But no, it ran really, really smoothly. It was really nice. We literally the Sunday's a shorter day. It's the last panel's at 3 o'clock because obviously all the artists want to get off and get traveling home, or some of them are staying another night, to be honest. So most of them just want to get to the bar again by that point. So the Sunday's a slightly shorter day, but it's still jam packed. It's still a good opportunity to see everyone. It's a quieter day, so there's a much better opportunity. There's not so many queues and stuff, and the panels aren't quite so crowded. But you still get a really good chance to listen to some great talkers and listen to some amazing stories. So yeah, we just literally duplicate it over the second day, which is lovely.
Yeah, I remember the first time that Dead Skin was at Sci-Fi Weekend, and they had the comics panel at, I think, first thing Saturday morning.
Oh yeah.
And no one showed, none of the panelists showed up because they were still hungover.
Yeah. I remember, when was it? Boo Cook and Bisley did a whole band thing, didn't they, at the Sci-Fi Weekend?
I think they're still doing it.
Are they still doing it?
Yeah. It's
I remember we went there and they were just randomly jamming on stage that there was no sense whatsoever, but they had a right laugh doing it.
Yeah, I think another time as well, they were just having a right laugh, just kind of making random noises to each other on the panel, which was just bizarrely amusing or amusingly bizarre, whichever. And yeah, I mean, how do you kind of keep your panelists on track? They are legendary for being very kind of independent personalities.
an amazing team of volunteers who do that. Very good job at. Yeah, we've got a few panelist moderators that come and do the interviews and the panels, and they're extremely good at what they do. I couldn't run the show without them, to be honest. They're absolutely fabulous. And yeah, no, they know their subject matter, and they know who they've got in front of them, and they're just as enthusiastic about it as the audience, which is lovely. So yeah, that the way to do that is to get people who are very. I'm definitely an organizer. I'm not an interviewer. That's not my. I've discovered recently that's not my forte at all. Is to sit up there and go, so how are you? Oh, yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, because I mean, you came with some great panels to discuss. Like, I remember I was interviewing the artists from 2003 about the architecture of Megacity 1.
Yeah,
and I found that's actually like. At first I thought, what? Then I started digging down a bit more and looking at all the different artists' interpretations. That's a lot to unpack.
I might, do you know what? I might actually go back to some of the really early lawgivers and just nick all their panels and do them again.
It works.
Yeah, no, it's very crowdfunded. So I do shout out to the community and say, this is our guest list. Who do you want to see talking to each other, and what do you want to see them talking about? So we've got a whole bunch of guys who are who are rogue trooper artists and creators. So we've got to get them together to do something. And we've got Battle Action's just been relaunched by Rebellion, and we've got a bunch of creators who's working on that. So yeah, we should definitely get them chatting about something. So a lot of it's crowdsourced, just like, who do you want talking? What do you want to hear them talking about? What do you find interesting? And that's how we put it together.
Nice.
Well, that's the very much audience led in a way. Just kind of you're speaking to the audience, you're engaging with them, and they're feeding back to you about what they want. You go, okay, then fair enough.
Yeah, makes my life easier. It's like, okay, then what's the guy in? I can do that. I do like that. The kind of community participation. That's what makes the show. It's what makes it work, because I'm providing something to the audience that they want to see.
Okay. And sorry, Matt.
No, carry on.
No, I was.
I was just going to say, we're verging on an hour and a bit, and we were going to go into our final sort of section, our pop quiz that we have at the end of our podcast now. If you're
cool.
if you're up for it, so basically, before any of our guests go, we subject them to a nerdy sort of 20 questions sort of thing. So basically,
okay.
the concept
I'm not
is,
good at thinking on my feet. I'll say this now. I'm not an improviser.
So this is basically all we need from you, and we'll all do one. So basically, you need to think of a franchise that you're into that maybe will be able to sort of maybe be able to guess a person from. You think of a character, you tell us the franchise, you think of the character, we have to guess who that character is. So for like Star Wars, sci-fi, Judge Dredd, something like that. Somebody we might actually know. Don't do Pete, as he does. He either goes really, really easy or really, really obscure, and nobody knows what it is. So we need you to have a think about this. Just think of a character from a franchise. Let us know who the franchise is. And then we will ask you questions about who the character is, and you have to let us know.
All right, so I can tell you the franchise. Oh, it makes it really obvious then if I tell you. Oh, damn it!
Yeah,
I had someone good lined up, but if I tell you the franchise, you'll get it straight off the bat.
Okay, so you need to tell us the franchise, and then we will guess it. So we can sort of. I'm not sure if you have one to.
I do have one.
Okay, we'll use this as an example, and
okay. Well, it's Lawless. I'm talking to Sue, so it's Lawless. So it's going to have to be the Judge Dredd world.
Okay, interesting. My Judge Dredd knowledge is a bit shaky, so we'll have to. Yeah.
Well, Barty should read Judge Dredd comics, and shouldn't you?
Yes. Well, you know what? I yeah. Okay. Right.
Are they okay?
Right.
Are
so
they a judge?
If I want to, I'll ask.
Yes.
I'll do the intro. I'll do the intro.
Oh.
Then we'll do it. You know, Pete, you've been doing this for years now. You know how it works. I've got to do it first. Okay. So it's Judge Dredd. 60 seconds. Go.
Okay. Are they a judge?
Yes.
Do they wear a helmet?
Yes.
Oh, damn it. That was like my one thing.
Have they been?
Is it Judge Dredd?
Huh?
Is it Judge Dredd?
No, it's not Judge Dredd.
Have you said have they been in the films?
Yes.
Are they in the most recent film?
No.
So are they okay. So are they in the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd film?
I think so, but frankly, as canonical as the Sylvester Stallone film is, I would consider the nah. Does that make any sense?
No. Okay. Oh God.
Are they more senior than Judge Dredd?
Yes.
Oh.
Are they an animal?
No.
Oh, okay. It's not Judge Fish. Then.
Oh, wait a minute. Is he? Oh God, what is his name?
You can ask me a few more questions.
It's an older. It's a guy. It's a fella.
Nope.
Oh, it's not. It's a female, right? Oh, it's not the wrong.
Female judge. It's more senior than.
Yeah, female judge that is more senior.
Okay, right. That's definitely 60. That's more than 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, more than
Reached
60
the limit
seconds.
of my judge knowledge, I'm afraid.
Yeah, don't know.
See?
If it's not Judge Anderson, I've no idea.
Judge Hersey.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Senior Judge Hersey.
Yeah,
That means nothing to me. my Judge Dredd knowledge is very
Matt,
much.
I'm going to send you a lot of Judge Dredd comics.
Yeah. I pray your forgiveness. Unfortunately, my Judge Dredd knowledge is minimal, and generally it adheres to the films and the odd comic I read now and again. But yeah, so yeah. All right. Sue, have you got anything for us? Have you got our franchise?
Go on then. Yeah. I think it'll be fairly easy.
Okay, what's the franchise?
The franchise is Firefly.
Okay.
Okay. My Firefly knowledge. I'm gonna make this admission here because everybody judges me for it. Never seen Firefly, ever. I don't. I'm Buffy. I just don't know if I'm a Joss Whedon sort of
You're
guy.
banned from my show.
Yeah, I've never seen Firefly. I've never seen Buffy.
It's not even Firefly related. You're banned from my show.
And I'm just
watch it immediately.
I've never sort of. I don't know why it is. It's just never been a thing for me.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's never been a thing.
It's lovely.
Yeah, Pete, I have zero knowledge about Firefly. So other than it's going to be completely up to you.
Okay. Are you ready, Matt?
Yep. Firefly, 60 seconds, go.
Are they a passenger of the Serenity?
Passenger.
Are they part of the crew or passengers?
Do I have to say yes or no, or like give further information?
You can ask. You say if he's asked the question, is he a passenger or one or the other? Is he a passenger or crew? You can say passenger.
Okay, crew.
It's crew. It's part of the crew of the passenger. Okay, male or female? Well, is it male? Male. Okay. Is it a pilot?
No.
Is it a hired gun?
Yep.
Is it? They are very particular about the size of their gun.
Yes.
Yes, I know which one you mean. I was completely blanking on the
name. They have a song after them.
Yes. Oh.
What's the song that's named after them?
Okay, so that's your minute. You got one more question, and then you've got to guess.
I can't remember his name. Oh my! I know him. He has a hat. He's very proud of his hat.
He has a very nice hat.
He has a very, very nice hat, and there's a statue of him in a town. Jane Cobb.
The man they call Jane.
Jane. Yeah, Jane Cobb. That was it. Oh, I could not believe I blanked on that name.
So it was pretty easy. If it's crew and it's male, there's only like 4 options.
Okay. All right. So my things generally like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Star Trek to a point. What sort of Warhammer if you're into Warhammer, but any of those take any tick any boxes for you? Are you a Star Wars? Do you like Star Wars at all? Do you like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings?
Star Wars
What
on
other
a surface level, yes.
What other things
as in,
do
I
you
haven't
Marvel?
kept up with anything really in like the last recently.
Marvel.
Again, same thing. We saw Endgame. I think that was the last Marvel I actually watched was Endgame.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all. I'm a little bit out of touch with a lot of stuff.
To be honest, it's been a bit hit and miss this past.
Yeah, I've not been. I won't do anything sort of new. Okay, so
if you'd asked me about 7 or 8 years ago, I'd have been like, right, everything. But yeah.
Okay.
It has slid a little bit.
Life gets in the way.
Okay.
It does, but also I've not found it hasn't captured my imagination as much as it used to.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, I'll go for Marvel, and it's a relatively easy-ish one. It's yeah. Okay, we'll go for Marvel, and we'll do this one because it's sort of actually no, that might give it away. Okay, so Marvel, 60 seconds, go.
Okay, Marvel. Go on.
Do they have their own film?
Pete, you go.
Go. Have they had their own film?
They have had their own film.
Okay. Are they human?
They are human.
Okay.
Are they male or female?
Male.
Are they part of the Avengers?
No.
No. It's not Howard the Duck, is it?
Not Howard the Duck.
Just checking.
Are they part of Guardians?
They are not a part of the Guardians.
Guardians is the one I know really well.
But they're not part.
They are part of it. They are part of a group, but they're not a part of those two groups.
Oh, not part of the Avengers, not part of the Avengers or the Guardians. Okay.
What's the other group?
I don't know.
I can't tell you.
I thought everyone was a member of the Avengers by Endgame, to be honest. Wasn't it a whole army of people?
Yeah. It was.
Okay, you've got a few seconds left. Start asking about powers and things like that and stuff. Maybe. Okay, there's your minutes.
Okay. Do they have magical powers?
They do not. Well, they don't have magical powers. No.
Okay. Do they have technology?
No, not really.
Do they fly?
They don't fly. Okay. I'll give you one question.
Are they mutants?
They are not a mutant. They don't have. They're not a mutant. They are. I'll give you a clue, and I'm trying not. I'll try and not.
Do they suddenly get very big and then very small?
They're not. It's not Ant-Man. They don't have powers. It's not really technology. They have senses, heightened senses.
Okay.
Daredevil.
Daredevil. There you go. Where you go? Daredevil.
Well done.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the films.
Yeah, well, there's obviously they have that old Daredevil film. But it's more the series.
Yeah,
the series is obviously better, and obviously you got the new series coming up potentially.
Yeah, looking forward to that actually.
Yeah. No, I did like Daredevil. That was good.
Yeah. The series was awesome, like especially with the Punisher, and it was absolutely amazing. Just like the Raid, it was just the fight scenes were just insane.
I love the fact they did the one-shot corridor scene, fight scene.
Yes,
and they did it in the second season as well. They did it again, just in a different, and it was up the ante on it, and it was
amazing. I loved it. Yeah, just
and they brought it back when he made an appearance in She-Hulk as well.
Yeah.
Oh, did they? Which
was really underrated. I really like She-Hulk, and I just don't know why people didn't grasp it, especially the sort of fourth.
I didn't make it past the first episode because there's only so much smarmy anti-clever that I can take. I'll be honest, it got on my nerves.
I don't know. It was something. It was just something different.
Better than you. It's like, yes, we know. Shut up. Go away.
Yeah.
It really got the smugness got on my nerves quite a lot.
I think if you get past it, I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and she's got it's got a really good ending to it and stuff. It's just sort of like I thought. So it was a shame that they're not doing it anymore, but there you go. It is what it is. But yes, okay. Thanks very much, Sue. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me. It's been good to see you guys.
You got Lawless Comic Con. That's on the 27th and 28th of May this year at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel in Bristol. And tickets are still on sale. So we got 50. Yep. Your countdown says 53 days and 22 hours left.
I'll stop panicking soon.
Time to panic. So if you fancy some British comic convention goodness, then please check it out. I'll put some links when I add this into the Gubbins through Spotify and all the other stuff, some links and stuff for people. But for tonight, I've been Matt Geary. With me has been Peter Ray Allison.
Good night, everyone.
And our guest, Suhaddrell.
Thank you for having me.